Kulthum, and then Fatima Al Zahra radiallahu anha wa ardaha. The ulama have different opinions regarding when she was born. So some narrations suggested that she was born when the Prophet ﷺ was 35 years old, which means 5 years before the Wahy. And other narrations suggested that she was born when the Prophet ﷺ was 41 years old. And the majority of the Shia books suggest that she was born when the Prophet ﷺ was 45 years old. So there's almost 10 years gap between the different narrations. And therefore, the majority of the Shia books suggested that she died in the age of 18. Whereas many other books, like Abdul Barr and others, suggested that she died in the age of 29. So there's almost 10 years difference in narrations. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best when she was born exactly. And those who suggested that she was born when the Prophet was 35 years old, this when around the time when Quraysh were rebuilding the Kaaba, and we know the story, when they disagreed over who would put the black stone in its place. Around this time, she was born according to this narration. Her children, how many children she had? Okay, names? How many boys and how many girls? Okay, okay. 2 boys and 4 daughters? Okay. And there is a dispute about another son. Is Al-Hassan, Al-Hussein, and Al-Muhsin. So Al-Muhsin was born, some actually denied that he was born at all, and others said he was born, but he died when he was very young. And of course, her mother is Khadija bint Khuwaylid, radiallahu anhum ajma'in. And one of the nicknames of Fatima Al-Zahra, of course, is Al-Zahra. The word Al-Zahra is a nickname given to her by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Al-Zahra, the word Azhar or Zahra means the shining. So Jami' al-Azhar in Egypt, Jami'at al-Azhar, is actually named after Fatima Al-Zahra because the Fatimids are the ones, the Shia group that governed Egypt at that time and other places in North Africa. They were the rulers of Egypt at that time. Their names is the Fatimids, one group of Shias. And they established this mosque and university or madrasa or school. And they, because they are Fatimids, they named this university Al-Azhar, referring to Fatima Al Zahra. So the word Al-Azhar and Zahra comes from. And they said because she was white and there is mixture of white and red. So when someone is white and has reddish in his face, they call him Azhar or Zahra. And others said no, it's because she was known to the people of the heaven. Like when you see the stars, shining stars, you call it al-zawahir, al-nujum al-zawahir. Al-Azhar, the illuminating or the shining. Of course, she grew up in a very difficult time. You can imagine that Rasulullah ﷺ declaring his da'wah and she was young. Again, some said she was only 5 years old when the wahy came, and others said she was born in the year 41. So she grew up in the time when Quraysh were harassing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, and she witnessed all these troubles that's happening around her. And one of the biggest trouble that happened to her is the death of her mother. We know that the death of Khadija was a very sad instant to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because she used to support him financially and emotionally and so on. And then soon after, his uncle Abu Talib, father of Ali, also passed away. And guess who took good care of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? She was Fatima. She took very good care of him. She was the youngest. She was not married, of course. And she took very good care of her father. And she played the role of Khadija. That's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave her another nickname that maybe many of us don't know. And this nickname is Abiha. Abiha. The mother of her father. Abiha. But she was very concerned about the Prophet ﷺ and taking good care of him. And there are plenty of stories of how she was very patient, and she was removing the filth that the people of Quraysh they put on the back of the Prophet when he was making sujood, and she came and she cleaned this from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She has so many other nicknames. Most of these nicknames that are not mentioned. One of them is al-Batul. Al-Batul is also given to Maryam alayhi salam. Maryam al-Batul. Al-Batul refers to the person, man or woman, who devote himself or herself for ibadah, right? So they cut themselves off from the social activities and so on. They devote themselves for ibadah. So she's also known as al-Batul, because she is different from the ladies of her time. So she also is known as al-Batul. Al-Siddiqa, al-Mubarakah, al-Zakiyya, al-Mardiyya, al-A'imma, the mother of the Imams, because all the Imams came from her. Al-Tahira, al-Mansura, al-Rayhan, al-Bud'a. Al-Bud'a, as the Prophet ﷺ said, Fatimatun bud'atun minni. She's part of me. يُؤْذِينِ مَا أَذَاهَا وَيُرِيبُنِ مَا رَبَهَا. Whatever hurts her, hurts me. So Allah ﷺ said that. We'll mention the story of this. The Prophet ﷺ used to love Fatima so much. Aisha radiallahu anha, as we mentioned yesterday, Aisha's room, Hujra, is next to Fatima and Ali's Hujra. So Aisha radiallahu anha observed that when Fatima comes to the house of the Prophet ﷺ, he would stand up for her and hugs her and kisses her and sit her next to him. And she also said, Aisha radiallahu anha said that I have not seen anyone who's similar to the Prophet ﷺ in the way she looks and the behavior, the way she behaves. Samt في شكله في سمته ودله. The samt means the overall respect of a person, the way he or she conduct himself, right? So Rasulullah ﷺ, of course, does not speak so much and smiles in the face of the people. His Sahaba radiallahu anhu, they did not even dare to ask him questions out of great respect to him sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Aisha radiallahu anha said, Hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, that I did not see anybody similar to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam than Fatima. She looks like him, she walks like him, right? Her akhlaq and character is like him. She's very quiet, she does not raise her voice, she does not speak so much, and so on and so forth. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in number of ahadith that كمل من الرجال كثير. There are plenty of men who have been perfect men. ولم يكن من النساء إلا أربعة. There are only 4 perfect women. Perfect in everything. I mean, not only in the way they look, but they also the akhlaq and the ibadah and wisdom and so on. 4 women. And he named Khadija bint Khuwaylid, وفاطمة بنت محمد, ومريم ابنة عمران, وآسيا بنت مزاحم, the wife of Fir'aun. In another hadith, he said, سيدة نساء أهل الجنة. Fatima Al Zahra, سيدة نساء أهل الجنة. سيدة نساء أهل الجنة. In hadith also in Bukhari and I think in the Sahihain, when Rasulullah sallam was sick before his death, أكبت عليه, she looked at him and she listened to, he whispered to her something, and she cried. And then soon after he whispered to her again and she smiled. And Aisha was kind of surprised. I did not see a smile close to cry than this. I mean, what's going on? Then she said to Fatima, what happened? What did he say to you? And she said, I cannot share with others the secret of the Prophet ﷺ. He told me something and I don't want to share this with anybody else. Because other wives of the Prophet were sitting and he whispered to her in her ears. So she considered this to be like a secret. So she said, I cannot reveal the secret of the Prophet ﷺ. And then after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, Aisha radiallahu anha said, I swear by Allah, for my place, or I ask you by my place to Rasulullah ﷺ to tell me, I really want to know what did he say to you. She said, well, now, he told me in the beginning that I know that I'm going to die soon. And the sign was that Jibreel used to come to me every Ramadan to read the Quran and with me once. And this year he came and did this twice in Ramadan, last Ramadan. So that's a clear sign that I'm ready to go. And she cried with Allah. You know, again, she lost her mother when she was young, and now she would lose her father. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And then he whispered to her again, he told her that you will be the first one of my ahli, my household, to join me. And you will be Sayyidatu Nisa'i Ahl Jannah. You'll be the most honored lady among the ladies of Jannah. You are in the top. You are the best of all women of Jannah. And she smiled because of this great status that she got, and she will soon join the Prophet ﷺ. And within 6 months, she died, radiallahu anha wa arda. This is the best of all ladies in Jannah. That again, we don't talk too much about her. We mentioned also briefly the hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ, when the ayat was revealed, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. He called Fatima Al Zahra, and Ali, Fatima was sitting on his right and Ali on his left, and Hassan and Hussein are sitting in front of him, young boys. And then he said, Allahumma ha'ula'i ahli bayti, Allahumma adhib anhum al-rijsa wa tahirhum tathira. The most pure people, the most pure and clean people are these people. There was a very nice hadith also in which Hudhayfa ibn Yaman radiallahu anhu, his mother asked him once, when was the last time you saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Hadith in Tirmidhi. When was the last time you saw the Prophet? You know, people, we think that people were sitting in the masjid all the time. No, people have to go to their work, they farm their land, and some of these lands are far from the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. So perhaps few days or even weeks pass by and you don't see the Prophet. So his mother asked Hudayfa, when was the last time you saw the Prophet? He said, I didn't see him since so and so, long time. And she said, فَنَالَتْ minni, and she started, um, telling him, or shame on you, and reprimanding him. And he said, you know what? Let me go and pray Maghrib with the Prophet ﷺ and ask him to forgive me and ask Allah for forgiveness for me and for you. Then he went and he prayed Maghrib with the Prophet ﷺ, and he stayed there until Isha, and he prayed Isha, and then he left. Then I came after him, and then he heard my voice, and he said, who is it? At that time, of course, there was no line. He said, who is it? Is this Hudayfa? I said, yes, Ya Rasulullah, this is Hudayfa. And I said to him, may Allah forgive you and your mother. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then he said, this is a malak, this is an angel that has never been to planet Earth before. First time to come down to Earth. He asked permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to come to me and to say salam to me and to give me the good news that Fatima will be Sayyidatu Nisa'i Ahl al-Jannah. And that Al-Hasan and Al-Husayn Sayyida Shababi Ahl al-Jannah. Sayyida Shababi Ahl al-Jannah. The youth, the best of the youth in Jannah. And Fatima is Sayyidatu Nisa'i Ahl al-Jannah. Aisha was asked, who was the most beloved one to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? She said Fatima. And then she was asked, how about men? She said her husband, referring to Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. He was sawam and qawwam. She mentioned these two things. He fasted so much and he used to stand in prayer for so long. There's an incident that happened that also shows that how much Rasulullah ﷺ loves Fatima Al Zahra radiallahu anha. Ali ibn Abi Talib wanted to marry the daughter of Abu Jahl, the sister of Ikrimah. And it has been said that it is the family of Abu Jahl who wanted Ali ibn Abi Talib to marry their daughter. And then Fatima, of course, did not like this. Right? And then she went to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she told him about what Ali is about to do. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up and he gave a speech. And he praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said that Fatima bud'atun minni wa inni akrahu an yasu'uha wallahi لا تجتمع بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وبنت عدو الله عند رجل واحد. It's inappropriate for the daughter of Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم and the daughter of Abu Jahl to be married to the same man. And Ali ibn Abi Talib forgot about it. Now, if this, when it comes to marriage, for Ali to marry another wife, there's nothing wrong with that. And the Prophet in another narration said, I'm not changing the hukm, yani halal into haram, not turning halal into haram. It's halal for a man to have more than one wife. But for this particular wife, it's inappropriate because of the place of Ali ibn Abi Talib and the place of Fatima radiallahu anha, alayhi salam, and that the daughter of Muhammad and the daughter of Abu Jahl become wives to the same man, and that is not appropriate. So And Ali ibn Abi Talib forgot about this. We mentioned also the story of the marriage of Ali radiallahu anhu wa Fatima Al Zahra, when many of the Sahaba wanted to marry Fatima, and one of the ladies who used to serve the Prophet ﷺ, she came to Ali and said, well, don't you know that people are coming and asking for Fatima? And said, yes, I wish I can do that, but I have nothing to offer. She said, no, go, you should go, just ask. He's your cousin. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the cousin of Ali ibn Abi Talib, and go and ask him. And he went to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he failed to speak, could not say anything. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam figured out why he's coming. He said, لَعَلَّكَ تُرِيدُ فَاطِمَةً. Perhaps you want to talk about Fatima. He said, yes. Do you have anything to offer her? He said, I have nothing to offer. How about this shield? He said, yes, I have it. No, he said, in the beginning, Ali said, I have nothing to offer. And the Prophet ﷺ said, how about this shield? Do you still have it? He said, yes, I do have it. And Ali ibn Abi Talib did not even mention it because it's not worth mentioning. I mean, a man does not give a mahr, a shield, to his wife. And Rasulullah said, okay, bring it. That's the mahr. That's enough. The hadith also, the greatest barakah come with the least mahr. In other words, the law, the mahr, the greatest, the barakah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed in this marriage. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away, that was again extremely difficult for everybody, and especially for Fatima Al Zahra. And even before his death, when Rasulullah was suffering so much during his illness, and she used to say, "Wa karba abata, wa karba abata." How difficult it is, and the karb means the severe stress and difficulties. Wa karba abata. She saw her father suffering so much, and the Prophet ﷺ said, "La karba ala abiki ba'da al-yawm." There's no karb, there's no difficulties after this day for your father. In other words, this is the end of the suffering for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when they buried Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, very difficult for everyone. And Ali ibn Abi Talib, of course, and he was one of those who went down in the grave, and they placed the Prophet ﷺ in his grave. And when they were done, she told them, "Could you do this?" Could you? Was it easy for you to put the dirt on the Prophet ﷺ? How could you do this? Of course, it was not easy. And Fatima Al Zahra radiallahu anha, when the Prophet ﷺ passed away and Abu Bakr became the Khalifa, she asked him to give her the piece of land that the Prophet ﷺ left behind. You know, when these bounties of war, the Rasul ﷺ gives people, he has 1/5. Allah gave him 1/5. But he ﷺ, this 5th never kept for him and for his family. In fact, Fatima's hadith in Bukhari also, Fatima Al Zahra radiallahu anha, she complained to her husband Ali, because she worked every day. You know, people don't go and buy wheat and make bread out of this that easily. They have to grain it. And to grain it is something called the raha, the two heavy stones that you have to put the wheat, and then you have to manually, right. And that's very difficult, not easy. And for a lady like Fatima Al Zahra, and she has to do this every day. And 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 she was very tired, and actually it marked in her hand. And she said to Ali ibn Abi Talib, when all this money came, a huge amount of money, especially after the Battle of Hawazin, Hunayn, the Battle of Hunayn, so much money came. Rasulullah ﷺ kept giving the heads of the tribes hundreds of camels, and kept giving people, and people started coming from everywhere. Muhammad's giving so much. And she said, um, and Ali ibn Abi Talib actually suggests that you are working very hard, and if you just go and ask the Prophet to give us one of the servants to help us in the housework. She went to Aisha's house, and the Prophet was not there, and she talked to Aisha about what she wants. She said it would be great help if the Prophet ﷺ gave us a young servant to come and help us do this work, because I'm really tired of doing this every day. Then the Prophet ﷺ came later, and Aisha told him that Fatima came and she asked for a young servant to do this work for her. And then Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, actually the one who narrated this hadith, he said that it was the time when we went to sleep and we were covered with a blanket that if we are covered with it, then our sides will appear. And when we turn it, horizontally, then our feet will appear. When Rasulullah ﷺ entered and we're about to stand up, and he said, stay where you are. You are just covered. And he said he came and he sat down between both of us. And I felt the coolness of his feet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in my body. He was sitting between them, and then he told Fatima radiallahu anha, he told both of them, should I tell you about something that is better than what you asked for? When you go to your bed, say Allahu Akbar 34 times, and Subhanallah 33 times, and Alhamdulillah 33 times. That's better than a servant. So Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib said that I've never left this for the rest of my life after I heard it from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Every time I go, before I sleep, I say Allahu Akbar 34 times, Subhanallah 33, Alhamdulillah 33 times. Now, this is tasbih. She's asking for someone to do physical work. And this is tasbih. So how would the tasbih do the work? This is the advice of the Prophet ﷺ. And try it. You try it. If you do this every night, you will see some difference. In other words, Rasulullah ﷺ wants to tell them that this dunya is short. This dunya, it's not worth thinking about comfort in this. This dunya is not the dunya of comfort. Make this tasbih and Allah will make things easy for you. Just keep working. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not benefit from his message again. He did not hoard this money for himself. He could have built the biggest palaces in the history of Arabs. He could have been called the king of Arabia at that time, after Fatih Makkah and after Hunayn. But he gave this money to people. This is nothing. This is nothing. This has no value in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he taught it. And the other wives of the Prophet also asked for some improvement of their life. But the Prophet did not change his lifestyle. We know all the story we mentioned before. And he told them, either stay with me the way I live, or if you want to be divorced, I will divorce you, and you go in peace. Ayat in Surah Al-Ahzab. Right? So that was it. The answer was no, but he gave them something better. Baqiyat al-Salihat. These beautiful words, Subhanallah, Walhamdulillah, Wallahu Akbar, that we say after each salah. Do this one more time. Do this one more time while you are ready to sleep. Before you read Ayat al-Kursi, say Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Alayhi salatu wassalam. So Fatima Al Zahra radiallahu anha, as I said, she mentioned she died 6 months after the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa ashabi ajma'in. And when he told her that you'll be the first one to join me, that was a good news for her. She said, okay, how about Ali and Hassan and Hussein? I'm going to leave them, I'm going to miss them. No, going to Rasulullah is the best choice. She was happy that she will be the first one to join him from his family, from his household. Um, and when Rasulullah back to the story of the khums, this khums, وَعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا غَنِمْتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ فَأَنَّ لِلَّهِ خُمُسَهُ وَلِلرَّسُولِ وَلِذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ إِن كُنتُمْ آمَنْتُم بِاللَّهِ وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَى عَبْدِنَا يَوْمَ الْفُرْقَانِ يَوْمَ التَّقَى. So the Prophet distributes these bounties of war, but he keeps 1/5, and he usually gives it to the poor, homeless, the muhajirin, those who left everything behind, have nothing. And in this occasion, the battle of Hunayn, so much money came. He did not give an Ansar anything. He gave the muhajirin, those who are in desperate need, and he gave these heads of the tribes. Many of them were not Muslims, Al-Aqra ibn Habis and Uyayna ibn Hisn, Abbas ibn Mirdas and others, and Abu Sufyan and his sons. He gave them so much, and he gave the muhajirin. So he gave non-Muslims, new Muslims, and the muhajirin, but he did not give an Ansar. Ansar felt there's something going on here. We fought, we welcomed the Prophet, we welcomed our brothers of the muhajirin, we shared everything with them, and now when all this money of Hawazin came, that we got nothing. We did not, they felt something inside that. And some said that the Prophet is giving his family, muhajirin, people come from Mecca. And how about us who have done all these things? We respected our contract with the Prophet, we stood firm, we fought, we protected the Prophet. And now when dunya comes, we got nothing. And they sent Sa'd ibn Ubadah to talk to the Prophet very frankly. He said, Ya Rasulullah, the Ansar did not feel comfortable. They have something in their heart, the way you distribute this money, and you gave our brothers Muhajirin, and you give even non-Muslims, and the Ansar got nothing. And the Prophet asked Sa'd, how about you, Sa'd? He said, I'm one of my people. In other words, I have the same feeling. They are human beings. We love them. They are the best of what human can be. But they are human still. And he said, gather the heads of Al-Ansar, I want to talk to them. And he came, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said, what's the matter with you, O people of Al-Ansar? You are upset with me for this lu'a'a. The word lu'a'a, again in Arabic, means very insignificant things. Very insignificant. In our garage, you have plenty of things that you don't even pay attention to. You store it. Things that people do, you have it at home, but you don't even think about it because it's very insignificant. So are you upset with me because of this du'a of dunya that I gave it to people with the hope that they come to Islam? And I know you are strong believers, so that you don't need this. I didn't give it to you because I know you are good believers, but I give it to these people with the hope that they will come, and when they come, their entire tribes will come to Islam. So he used this money to bring them to Islam. Didn't I come to you, your enemies? Allah made peace, made you brothers through me. He said, yes, yes. Were you not idol worshippers? Allah guided you to Islam through me. Yes, Ya Rasulullah. So, Ajibuni, why don't you talk to me, respond to me? I said, what can we say, Ya Rasulullah? He said, you could have said that everybody disbelieved you, we believed you. Right? Your people pushed you out and we welcomed you. Right? Your people fought against you and we supported you, we defended you. You could have said that. And you would have said the truth. This is what you did. And then he told them that wouldn't you be satisfied and happy that people take these animals and money back home and you go to your homes with Rasulullah sitting with you, living with you? Would this not be enough? In other words, this dunya has no value. I give it to people to come to Islam to save them from the hellfire. He did not take it to himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he gave some of the muhajirin, those who are in desperate need. They left everything behind in Mecca and they have nothing. And he gave them. This is the time to give them something. After Khaybar, he also distributed the lands of Khaybar, and he kept part of this land, perhaps for the future distribution. But he died, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before he gave it to anyone. And then Fatima Al Zahra went to Abu Bakr claiming this is our inheritance. The Prophet left this land. Now I'm the only, or one of the inheritors of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So she asked for this land. Abu Bakr said, no, I cannot give it to you. I heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, we, the prophets, are not to be inherited. Whatever we leave behind is sadaqah. Fatima did not hear this. But Abu Bakr said, but I will take care of those whom the Rasulullah used to take care of. In other words, whatever you need, I will give it to you. But Rasulullah did not leave anything behind. Or whatever he left behind is to be given as sadaqah, not to be inherited. The prophets are not to be inherited. You know why? For the same reason why Rasulullah and his household are not eligible for sadaqah. They cannot take sadaqah, can take gifts. Yeah, people give them gifts. He accepts gifts, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he does not accept sadaqah. And the same reason why nothing to be inherited. Imagine if a Prophet left a huge amount of money, and land and properties and gold and silver, and people have said that he was poor and Islam made him wealthy. So all this idea of Islam and things, he made it up to make money, right? And people would have said, okay, this zakah thing, it meant actually to be given to him and his family. No, he does not take zakah. His household, his children are not eligible to take sadaqah. So she was upset with this. And some said that she died while she was very unhappy with this. And others said, no, Abu Bakr actually talked to her and explained to her why. And at the same time, he told her that I cannot disobey the Prophet ﷺ. I heard the Prophet saying that, so I cannot go otherwise. I cannot do otherwise. That is Abu Bakr, by the way. Just if you want to summarize the personality of Abu Bakr, he is a good follower. Whatever the Prophet says, he does. So, and others said no, she forgave him and she understood the point of Abu Bakr before she died. And of course, many exaggerated on this and said, Abu Bakr, astaghfirullah, they curse him because he heard the feeling of Zahra and he deprived her from her inheritance, Rasulullah. And they also said a similar thing about Umar, that he went and Muhsin, that we talked about, that she was pregnant, the third Imam after Hassan Hussein and Muhsin. And Umar beat her, and this caused the miscarriage. Can you believe that Umar would go and beat the daughter of Rasulullah, Fatima Al Zahra, while she was pregnant, and she lost her pregnancy because of Umar? This is what these liars are saying about Umar radiallahu anhu. It's just nonsense. It doesn't make any sense. That the one, Umar radiallahu anhu, when he became Muslim and he decided to make hijrah, he went to the guy who spread the news. Like some people were Reuters and CNN. They are good in this. They go where people gather and go and spread the news. He went and knocked his door. Don't you know that I became Muslim? And the guy was just wrapping this izar, right, the towel, and he kept running, boom. he wants people to know that he's Muslim. He says, oh, and then you know the story when he did hijrah. He said, who wants his kids to be orphans and his wives to be widows? Come and see me. I'm going to Medina. Everybody was hiding, but he said that. I'm going to Medina. I'm going doing hijrah. We can talk so much about Umar. So why would someone do this? These are the people who became Muslims in a very difficult time. Well, being Muslim means that your Quraysh will be your worst enemy. And you lose everything. And then they never missed any battle with the Prophet ﷺ. And now, when the Prophet died, all of a sudden, they became power seeker. And what did they do when they came to power? What did Abu Bakr do when he became the Khalifa? Did he live in a big palace and live like a king? No. Well, how did Umar live his life? Oh no, he took the right of Ali and he slammed Fatima Al Zahra, and he wanted to burn the house of Ali and Fatima. This is an act of gangs. You know, even gangsters don't do this to their masters. Right? Have you seen the Godfather movie? People have some respect to the Godfather. These are the gangs, mafias. They have respect to their Godfather. And then you're talking about Abu Bakr and Umar, who suffered so much and faced so many challenges. And when they became Khalifas, they lived, you know what, how Umar lived his life. Right? He did not have 3 different kinds of food. Oil, oil and salt and al-khal, what do you call it? Al-khal, vinegar. And either or. It's not. And when he saw these 3 kinds together, he said, 3? No, remove some of them. As this one piece of clothes, and when it got torn, then he patched it. So his cloak was full of patches. Are these the people who disobey the Prophet ﷺ and go against his order and abuse his family? No, of course not. So because of this disagreement, some exaggerated in this. But Abu Bakr, again, he said, despite my love to you, and I cannot disobey or do something against what the Prophet said. But both Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman, they used to have a great respect, and they give these salaries to the wives of the Prophet and the household of the Prophet so that they don't have to suffer or to ask people for something. They have their own income guaranteed until they died. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send his peace and blessings upon Fatima Al Zahra and her husband and her father and her children. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who love them and join them in Jannah. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. Stop here, inshallah, and if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer. Yes. 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 Again, some said she was the Shia sources said she was 18 because she was born when the Prophet was 45, and those who said that she was born when the Prophet was 35, they said she died in the age of 29. So it could be somewhere in between. So you are saying when the Prophet was orphan?
Yeah, when he's orphan.
Okay.
And then other like he took away
Children.
children, his mother, children too, plus so he this full attention given to him for the purpose of
Attention by who?
to give to pass the message of I guess that's why
Okay.
When you connect some Chinese to some bygone now, I don't know.
Well, people say why the Prophet ﷺ was, what's the wisdom that the Prophet ﷺ was orphan and his father died before the Prophet's birth and his mother died when he was 6 years old. What's the wisdom of this? Some say that the wisdom is for the Prophet to feel the pain and the suffering of the orphans, and I disagree with this. Rasulullah was not merciful because he was orphan. He was Rahma al-Alameen. That this connection between being merciful and care, taking good care of orphans and weak people because he suffered and he went through this, that's not the right analogy. Whether he was born orphan or not orphan, he was sent as Rahma al-Alameen. He is the most merciful. Rasulullah, Allah called him بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَؤُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. He's Ra'ufun Rahim regardless. This is coming from Allah, right? Why he was born orphan, Allah A'lam. We cannot be certain, but some actually try to think about the fact that he was Nabi Ummi. He's Ummi, he's illiterate. And illiteracy is imperfection, right? It's an insult to say you are illiterate. But Rasulullah was illiterate. And for him that was a plus, not a minus. You know why? You know why? Imagine if the Prophet ﷺ was able to write and read, and there are plenty of libraries and plenty of ulama and scholars and Jews and Christians around. So he made it up. He read the philosophy of the Greek and the knowledge of the Persians and the science of the Byzantines, and then he came up with something. But there is nothing, zero. No libraries, no books, no other source of this knowledge except al-Wahy. So to keep this pure and clear, and the Quran talked about this, وَمَا كُنْتَ تَتْلُو مِنْ قَبْلِهِ مِنْ كِتَابٍ وَلَا تَخُطُّهُ بِيَمِينِكَ إِذًا لَارْتَابَ الْمُبْطِلُونَ. وَمَا كُنْتَ تَتْلُو مِنْ قَبْلِهِ مِنْ كِتَابٍ. Before this wahy comes to you, you have never read a book. Everybody knows this. وَلَا تَخُطُّهُ بِيَمِينِكَ. You have never wrote anything with your right hand. And if you're able to read and write, then the mubtilun, these liars, will go, oh yeah, now he has access to all this knowledge. So, بل هو آيات بينات في صدور الذين أوتوا العلم. So for the Rasulullah to be the teacher of humanity and illiterate at the same time, this means something. No one can be perfect in almost all aspects of life. No one can prescribe for humanity or produce for humanity a comprehensive way of life out of nothing. That's impossible. That's why there's no doubt he's Rasulullah. There's no doubt. And the more I read in fiqh and the details of fiqh and how Rasulullah ﷺ, his sunnah complements al-Quran, it's just amazing. How could one person who spent only 22 years as a prophet, most of them were full of challenges and wars and hijrah, and then he comes up with this knowledge. If a professor of law in Harvard was 70 years old and he got his PhD when he's 25, yeah, he's genius. I mean, someone is a professor in Harvard and he got his PhD when he's 25 and now he's 70. He knows everything about law, right? He does nothing in his life but reading and writing about law. But someone only 22 years? And again, he's not sitting in a library 22 years. You know how many battles and wars and hijrah and troubles and problems he dealt with. And he comes with this comprehensive sharia. It has to do with the suluk, right? Regulate the behavior of people. And not only that, but it also provides a complete worldview. Where we came from, what's going to happen next. That's impossible for someone to create all these economical system, social system, legal system, political system, all these systems coming together that produce a comprehensive way of life. One individual, because he was a genius, he did not read one book. He does not even know how to write his own name, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And by the way, there are some people now, in academia, they are trying to claim that Rasulullah ﷺ was able to write and read. And some of them are Muslims. Some Orientalists and some Muslims are saying, yeah, he was able to write and read. Based on some like nonsense. You know, when you want to write a book to become famous, then you write something controversial. You'll mention your name. Oh, this is crazy. To be mentioned as crazy is better than not to be mentioned at all. And some people make this choice, right? Believe me. They say Waraqa ibn Nawfal, Waraqa, the cousin of Khadija, was able to read and write, and reading and writing was common at that time. And Ummi does not mean, because Nabi al-Ummi mentioned in the Quran, Ummi does not mean, does not know how to write and read, but he never read in school and so on. So this is why he was Ummi, and that's why he was not a poet. He was not a poet. He did not say one verse of poetry. He does not know how to say it, although he was the most eloquent man ever. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Jawami al-kalim. But for him, poetry is not good. Imagine if he was a poet. Like Umr al-Qais, or Labid ibn Rabi'a, or Zuhair ibn Abi Sulma, or Amr ibn Kulthum, or Haris ibn Hilidha, all these great, these great poets in Arabia before Islam. Arabs used to believe that, because really, if you really read their poetry, it's just amazing. It's crazy how they come up with this beautiful poetry, a huge, amazing imagination, amazing. I can share some of this with you just to have an idea about how beautiful and complex and delicate it was. They believe that every one of these poets, he has a jinn as a friend that gives him these ideas and this imagination and these words. And that's why they said, okay, everyone has shaitan. Every one of these poets has shaitan, because it's impossible for a human to come up with these imaginative pictures and verses and description of things. It's difficult. And that's why when Rasulullah start preaching Islam, they say, oh, the shaitan of Muhammad brought this Quran to him. And that's why Surah Al-Shu'ara, this is surah called Surah Al-Shu'ara. In the end of the surah, Allah says, وَالشُّعَرَاءُ يَتَّبِعُهُمْ الْغَاوُونَ أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّهُمْ فِي كُلِّ وَادٍ يَهُمُّونَ وَأَنَّهُمْ يَقُولُونَ مَا لَا يَفْعَلُونَ. To be a good poet, you have to exaggerate. You have to. I mean, you cannot just say what people say. You have to come up with something new. Exaggerate in how brave you are and how generous you are and how good your tribe. You have to exaggerate, right? Well, it is what Muhammad says. It is what Quran says, and they say what they don't do. I am the bravest man in time of war, and I'm the one. Come on, you have to say something that you don't do. You have to lie. And by the way, the more you lie, the better. It's well established. And that's why many of the Sahaba were good poets before Islam, and after Islam, the quality of their poetry declined. Because now you can't lie. You have to say, you have to say the truth, right? And you cannot talk about women and drinking wine and all these things. You cannot talk about these things. So what's left is you are narrowing the circle. Truly. Hassan ibn Sabit is a good example of this. Before Islam, the quality of his poetry was much better than after Islam. But still good poetry, but it's talking about praising the Prophet and talking about Islam and things. But people are not interested in truth. People want, that's why all these dramas and movies and things people like, because it's full of lies. So why we're talking about this? Yes? Oh, that's a good question. Hadith narrated by Fatima. Is there any hadith narrated by Fatima Al Zahra? There must be few, I would say, but not too much to my knowledge. Yes, yes, yes. Right. If Ali ibn Abi Talib, there are few hadith narrated by Ali ibn Abi Talib, but I don't know. Maybe I need to do some research on this to see if there are. Yes. 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 No. Omar has narrate more hadith than Abu Bakr, for example. Because see, not, if, not every Sahabi is like the other. Um, uh, very few hadith was also narrated by Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Not too much. Um, although he was very close to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But Umar is, and Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Abbas, Salama, Aisha, narrate so many hadith. Abu Hurairah, of course, number one. Although he became Muslim later on, like, I think 2 years before the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is all fabricated. It is known that when Abu Bakr was giving the bay'ah, Ali ibn Abi Talib did not give bay'ah except 6 months later. Again, the Prophet's death was a huge crisis, and especially for al-Bayt, for everybody, of course. But here's Fatima Al Zahra, and Rasulullah is dead, so he was busy with his family. So he did not openly give bay'ah to Abu Bakr except later on. And some people actually, Al-Abbas and others, they wanted actually the Khilafah to be within Bani Abdul Muttalib. You have Al-Abbas, the uncle of the Prophet, and his son Abdullah ibn Abbas, and you have Ali, and you have others. So, you know, Omar and others were not happy with this. Because the bay'ah was given to Abu Bakr, khalas. You know, Saqifah was a very critical moment, when the Prophet's body was not buried yet. And here the Sahaba was thinking about who's going to be the successor of the Prophet. And for 3 days. And then they were sitting in Saqif al-Bani Sa'ida, the Ansar, talking about who is going to be the successor. And you have Sa'd ibn Ubadah. The majority of the Ansar said Sa'd ibn Ubadah was Sayyid, was a great leader. And then when Umar heard about this meeting, he went to Abu Bakr and said, let's go and talk to them. This matter cannot be done in our absence. And Omar said, I went and I prepared a speech in my mind to give. But when I went to Abu Bakr, we were sitting there. Some said, one Amir from the Muhajirin and one Amir from Ansar. The Muhajirin did great job, and the Ansar also did great job. So everybody contributed to Islam. I said, what are you talking about? 2 Amirs? The 2 Ummah? That doesn't work like this. You have to have 1 Amir, 1 leader. And some said Sa'd ibn Ubadah deserved to be because he's the head of the Ansar. And Omar wants to speak. He said, Omar narrated this actually, this incident. And he said, فَزَوَّرْتُ مَقَالَةً, and I prepared a speech and talk about the Muhajirin and Quraysh and so on. But Abu Bakr did not allow me to speak. And he spoke, and he has more wisdom and fiqh than me. And when Abu Bakr told them, listen, nobody can deny the contribution of Al-Ansar. But this matter should be within Quraysh. Because Quraysh, everybody, all Arabs, they have great respect to Quraysh. So the Umara must come from Quraysh for this reason. And I heard the Prophet saying that. For realistic reason. I mean, people respect. So when someone comes from Quraysh, it's more likely for the Arabs to. But if someone comes from any other tribe, who is this? And then he suggested, Abu Bakr suggested that Umar should be, because Umar, or Quraysh bin Bani Adi, Quraysh. And then Umar stood up and he said, I am the first one to give bay'ah to Abu Bakr. No one deserved or more qualified than Abu Bakr for this. And everybody else, gradually, everybody else accepted Abu Bakr and gave bay'ah to Abu Bakr. And then he went to the mosque, the masjid. And everybody came, all the elders of the Sahaba, the Muhajirin, and the Ansar, those who witnessed Badr, and all these people gave bay'ah to Abu Bakr. So it's khalas, it's consensus of the ummah. And then Abu Bakr gave this beautiful speech that really reflects the relationship between leaders and the followers. And when he said that أطيعوني ما أطعت الله فيكم فإن عصيت فلا طاعة لي عليكم. Obey me, it's my right upon you to obey me, as long as I obey Allah. If I disobey Allah, you are not required to obey me in anything. So there are mutual rights. The leader has rights, and people follow him. Don't give me a hard time. Just when I told you something, do it. And your right is that I serve you, I take care of you, and as long as I obey Allah and His messenger. If I get corrupt, you have every right to stop me. So no, you are wrong. Why are you doing this? Like the Sahaba did with Umar and others. So yeah, there could be sometimes misunderstanding. Actually, in fact, I forgot to mention this yesterday. One of the nicknames of Ali ibn Abi Talib is the very famous nickname of Ali. Abu Turab. Yes. Abu Turab. You know what's Abu Turab mean? Turab, what's Turab? Dirt, or the dust. Abu Turab, he's Abu Turab. It's a nickname, yeah. Father of dirt. This incident, or this nickname, was given to him by the Prophet ﷺ when he went to Fatima and said, where's your cousin, Ali? She said, he was like, something happened between us and he's upset and he left the house. Ali and Fatima, they got, it's human, they are humans. They disagreed over something, and Allah knows what it is. The narration does not say what was it. Yes, of course. And then Rasulullah said, someone said, go and find out where is Ali. And this man came, Ya Rasulullah, he's sleeping in the masjid. You know, again, the masjid and the house of Ali, you know, the house of Ali is right after behind the house. They're sleeping in the masjid. Because he was upset with Fatima. He left the house. They are the best of all humans. But they are humans. And then Rasulullah went, and Ali was obviously tired and he was sleeping, and half of his garment was falling, and his body was covered with dust, because the masjid at that time was not covered with anything. So the dust was covering his other side. And he said, Qum Abu Turab. Rasulullah was waking him up. Wake up Abu Turab, because Turab was covering him. And from that day, and actually this was the most beloved nickname for Ali. He liked this nickname than anything else, because it was given to him by his father-in-law. He said, why you are upsetting my daughter? I was joking with him. So, wake up Abu Turab. Get up. If this happened between Ali and Fatima, it could also be happen between anybody else. Was Umar, Umar was kind of, khalas, this bay'ah to Abu Bakr. It's inappropriate for you, Ali, not to join. This could happen, but to say that he went and he knocked the door of Ali, and Ali was not there, and Fatima opened the door, and then he pushed her, slapped her, and she fell down, and she what are you talking about? Yeah, Umar was tough, but was very soft. And he said this in his inauguration speech. He said, the strong amongst you is weak until I take the right from him. And the weak among you is strong until I take the right or give him his right. Yeah, that's Umar. Yeah, he was tough when it comes to the truth, but he was so soft and kind when he see an oppressed person. He does not tolerate injustice. And you know how he was tough for al-haq, but he was also tough on himself. What he eats, what he dresses. So, generally speaking, when this khilafat happens among the Sahaba, we love them all, we respect them all, but it doesn't make any sense. How come that Rasulullah was happy with Abu Bakr and Umar, and how come Allah gave them such the greatest honor anybody can think about, to be buried next to the body of the Prophet ﷺ? If they were so evil, why would Allah bring these two evil bodies next to the body of the Prophet? Every time we go and say salam to Rasulullah, we say salam to Abu Bakr and Umar. We talked about them last year or the year before last year. Yeah, but who is the best advisor to Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman? It was Ali. He was the best advisor. He was serving them. As we mentioned yesterday when he was asked by his son, Muhammad ibn Hanafiya, who is the best people after the Prophet, said Abu Bakr. He says, next, who's next? I said Umar. And he said, how about you? He said, I'm one of Muslims. And Umar said, if it was not Ali, I would have been destroyed. When it comes to tough, difficult, complex issues, he said, go and call Ali. That's Umar. When it gets really difficult, he said, nobody can solve this except Ali. Ali, what do you think? And Ali just gave it to him. It's very simple. When they brought this woman accused of committing adultery, because she gave birth, or she was pregnant, the pregnancy lasted only for 6 months. Right? For 6 months. No. She must have done something wrong. How come that she gave pregnancy lasted only for 6 months? And they were just about to kill her. And Ali was invited to, said no. That pregnancy could be 6 months. He was not a physician, biologist, or scientist, but he's a faqih. You know, nobody understood Al-Quran, the tafsir of the Quran like Ali. And he said, they asked him, how come we have never heard about 6 month pregnancy? He said, no, didn't you read the Quran? Quran says, وَحَمْلُهُ وَفِصَالُهُ 30 شهرا. Haml, the pregnancy, and weaning is 30 months. Right? So, and other ayah, Al-Quran says, وَالْوَالِدَاتُ يُرْضِعْنَ أَوْلَادَهُنَّ حَوْلَيْنِ كَامِلَيْنِ 2 years. The rida'a can last for 2 years. 2 years, 24 months. 24 months. And the other ayah says the haml, the pregnancy, and nursing is 30 months. So 24 for rida'a, 6 months for pregnancy. I said, yes. Everybody reads these ayat, but nobody made this connection between this ayah here in this surah and this ayah and this surah, and make the calculation. And again, it's simple. That's Ali. And he said, you are right. And she gave birth to a boy. And the boy was exactly similar to his father. Exactly. So, this is just one of so many examples of how Ali was the best advisor of Abu Bakr. He was serving Umar and he was serving Uthman. And when people accused Uthman of being harraq al-masahif. You know the story when Uthman heard that Muslims are disagreeing of the qira'at. Which qira'ah is the right qira'ah? Right? Which style qira'at? The different Qur'an was revealed with different qira'ah based on the different dialects of different tribes. It's all Arabic, but you can read it this way or that way. And he said, you know what? That's fitna. Now I have to close this door. And all the Sahaba, including Ali, was consulted in this. And he decided to write one mushaf. That's a mushaf mushaf al-imam. The mushaf we read now, it's called al-imam. Al-Rasm al-Uthmani. Every book of mushaf is called Rasm al-Uthmani because Uthman formed this committee and they wrote Quran based on the language of Quraysh. And he destroyed or burned all other copies to end this fitna. And Ali ibn Abi Talib anhu, in his time, when he was the Khalifa after the death of Uthman, he said, Rahimallahu Uthman ibn Affan. He did not do this except or after consulting all of us, the Sahaba, and I was one of them. And if I was in his place, I would have done the same thing he did. He was defending Uthman against those who said Uthman is the burner of the Musahif. He burned the Musahif, yes, for good reason. And all the Sahaba witnessed this, and they were all involved in this matter. So this, and again, Ali gave his daughter in marriage to Umar, as we mentioned yesterday. So this kind of hate and envy and jealousy and animosity does not exist. These are the best of all people. Yes, disagreement happened, but not to the point where they Umar go and do this. Okay. Uh-huh. Oh my God. Yes. Nahj al-Balagha, there are a lot of discussion about Nahj al-Balagha, and many believe that it's not authentic. Some say this is exactly what Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, the khutbahs and the speech and things of Imam Ali and the hikmah of him. But many others, if you follow the what is known as the methodology of narrations, hadith, that there are a lot of disputes, just to say the least. ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا. Yes, some Mufassirin said this was revealed for Ali and Fatima when they cooked the food for their iftar, and one day a miskin came to give him everything, and the next day they were also preparing for their fasting, break fasting, and another person knocked the door and they gave it to him, and the third day the same thing happened, although they love this food and they need it, but they give it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ali and Fatima. Yes. Huh? Where there's a hadith, it says al-immatu min Quraysh. There's a lot of dispute about this. It happens that Abu Bakr from Quraysh, Umar, Uthman of course from Bani Umayyah, and Ali from Quraysh, Bani Hashim, and then the Umayyads are from Quraysh, of course, and the Abbasids from Quraysh, the descendants of Al-Abbas, the uncle of the Prophet. Did this, the ulama now we're talking about, is this a universal ruling that every Khalifa must come from Quraysh? Or it's a recommendation that in this social order in Arabia, because people have great respect to Quraysh, it should be from Quraysh. It's better to be. But later on, the Khilafah was not just one thing. In the time of the Abbasids, but there are so many other dynasties have been also working in parallel, like the Umayyads. When they lost to the Abbasids, the Umayyads went to Andalusia and established Islam there. So the Umayyads were in Andalusia, Abbasids were in the Middle East. And then al-Ikhshidiyin and al-Ayyubis and Khans in Akbar in India, they were all caliphates or different dynasties at the same time. So now if Muslims want to have a Khalifa today, it does have to come from Quraysh? Right. They're supposed to be, exactly, but that was not the case. That was not the case. People, names means nothing. When people call themselves the Fatimians, when people call themselves the guardians of Sharia, the word Sharia, the word Jihad, the word Caliphate, the word Abbas, all these just names means nothing. Tell me what you are doing, I'll tell you whether you're right or wrong. Your name, your title, your family tree, all these things does not mean anything. Yes, yes. Yes, but they killed each other. A brother killed his brother, and Abu Ja'far Mansur is known as Saffah. Saffah is the killer. A lot of bloodshed happened. A lot of bloodshed. That we don't like to talk about. But who reads about this and writes about this and analyzes this? Non-Muslims. If you go to any, in Oxford, there's an Oriental studies, the department I study in. And they study everything in our history, things that we don't even know anything about. But they get it from Ibn Sa'd, from Tabari, from Ibn Kathir. They're scholars. And that's why why you are talking about these things. It's better not talk about this. Ya akhi, we have to talk about this. Otherwise, when our children hear about this from others, don't you know that your companions? No, they are ignorant. We should talk about this because we're living in an open world. If you don't hear about it here, you will hear about somewhere else. So you better know about it, have an idea about what happened, and perhaps the context, so you're immune. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.